Good evening, everybody. Jace here. Tonight, I'm going to be taking a very in-depth look at a virtual instrument and one of my absolute favorite virtual instrument pianos, the Ravenscroft 275 by VI Labs. And I'm also going to be talking about my Ravenworks keyboard, both of which are born in the same family. So, the Ravenscroft 275, this thing right behind me, this is a virtual instrument. It is emulating and sampling the Ravenscroft 275 grand piano, which is a magnificent concert grand instrument made in America. Yay. By Michael Spreeman and his son. They own a company in Scottsdale, Arizona, where they manufacture these pianos. Now, I'm not going to guess how many of these they make a year, but this is a very, well, I can tell you I've been to his laboratory, his piano workshop, and watched him actually work. I've seen Ravenscroft 275s in various states, all the way down to their birth, I guess you could say. Just the soundboard of this instrument. I have never seen lines of grain so close. It's almost like the thumbprint of a thumb. And of course, what this speaks to is a sound that is as original as a thumbprint. It is, in the piano world, a very, very unique, one-of-a-kind thing. I'm just going to go ahead and make an adjustment to my volume here level, guys. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, getting back to it. So yeah. Where do I want to start with this guy? Well, let's go ahead and pull it up. Let's make sure I have my reverb turned off, because I'd like you to get this thing naked. Naked Ravenscroft 275 sound. Okay. You're looking at right now the GUI, and it's very, very clear. It's an easy to understand, implement interface for this instrument. You know, I'm assuming that a lot of the people who might be interested in this, of course, would be musicians, but I like to think that there are some people out there in the world who find these things interesting, the tools that musicians use. So I'm going to try to treat both audiences with a little bit of knowledge. And if you're a musician and I'm telling you things you already know, sorry. Okay. So yes, this is a sampled piano of the real one, and it has 4 microphone positions. And let's just start there, okay? I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm dealing with these one at a time. So what is a microphone position when it comes to the sampling of a piano like this? Well, what you are getting is a perspective, really is the way I like to think of this. It is an audio perspective, of course, from the reference point of where the microphone is seated. In the case of the one which is being highlighted right now, that would be the player mic right here. And the interface does a nice job of pointing out about where those microphones are resting. And of course, this is for the sake of giving both the player and the listener a representation of the actual listening experience, almost as seated on the bench from left to right. That is to say, the deeper voices will be coming more towards your left, and higher voices as you cross through the middle are going to feel like they're coming more from your right. Okay? Okay. This applies to all microphone positions. This piano has 19 layers of velocity sampling. That's a little bit of a complicated one for you lay folks. Basically, just think of it as 19 layers of loving realism, okay? It gives us musicians a more authentic chance to express ourselves. Okay. Taking a closer look at the player position, I think what the best thing that I can do is play a track. I'm going to play you an original track that I wrote, and I'm going to work my way through these 4 microphone positions in a one at a time fashion. And also, man, I want to make sure I do this. Let's go ahead and set the polyphony to max. The polyphony is the amount of voices that can be, playing at one time, and setting this, considering that a piano has 88 keys, theoretically, that's 88 voices that could be happening at once. So setting the polyphony to max means that I'm going to have no cutoff when I start playing fast. If I start playing fast. I don't know what kind of mood I'm in tonight. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just, and if you're in the comments section, I want to go ahead. Hey, share this. If you're a musician, please share this with your piano playing friends or your studio friends. I'd like to be able to get this information out there about this piano and introduce people to what I'm doing, Please like this video if you've enjoying it. Okay, we'll get to that later. An original piece of music for piano I've written in the key of F sharp. I'm not going to play the entire track here. I'm going to play a section of it so that we can get an idea of the sound. Okay, again, this is the player mic, the perspective of the musician playing the piano. Little FYI. Maybe put on some headphones. You might enjoy this better. Okay. Okay. Let's switch now. We're going to move from a player microphone to the close piano position. This is, generally speaking, the primary position from which piano recordings are made. One of the first and foremost. And as you can see from the interface, you're talking about a position that is right down on those strings, usually made with incredible microphones. And apologize that I don't know exactly which microphones were used for this capturing of all of these sounds that I am triggering here. However, they are assuredly magnificent. Okay, the close position. Let's now switch from the close microphone position to the side microphone position. This is a great added bonus here for this. I'm going to make sure that's shut off. For this 4 perspectives that are available for this piano. This one has a unique sound. Now listen to this. Wait, yeah. It is very, very vibrant, but as you can see, there is a slight, the edge is slightly removed off of things. You know, it takes a little bit of that right up on your ear kind of situation out of there. And let's go ahead and move on now to the room microphone. I hope you're enjoying this, guys. I'm having a lovely evening playing for you. Get a little stretched out here. Okay. This is the room microphone position, and this is, again, let me go ahead and make sure you can see it here. I should have done that. This is the room microphone position that I've activated now. The other 3 microphones are now off. So naturally, you know, and it's not as clear when we're dealing with a room microphone because the source is further away. Sound has much more opportunity to commingle before it gets to this microphone. And then, of course, let's talk about reflections. From the perspective of the room mic, you're actually picking up a lot of reflections from the surrounding room. And again, just as a footnote, this is why the room a piano is recorded in as an acoustic instrument is very, very important. The recording is just as much talking about the room as it is the microphones, as it is the piano. You know, you can see how this goes. Okay, now, for the fun part. Let's go ahead and commingle these microphones now. And I'm going to use a choice of microphones that would be, you know, applicable to an actual recording scenario. So I would start with the player mic. Well, actually, I would start with the close mic. And I would make sure that that is relatively full. Let's go ahead and add player mic and pull that down ever so slightly. Let's go ahead and move to the side microphone position. Back that off to here. And then let's go ahead and add room. And let's be a little bit particular about that one. Let's get a little bit of that room ambience, some of that. And really, in this situation, what I'm looking for there is room, okay? Because I've got all the definition of the piano that I need from the close and the player microphone positions. So the room is necessary, is like, you know, it's like sauce. You know, you don't want to put too much sauce on the dish or you'll spoil it. All right, real quickly, I'm going to shut those other microphones off so that we can do a before and after. Okay, let's have a listen. This is just the close. Okay, now let's quickly pull the other mics in and start from the beginning. This is the full production. Why don't I just go ahead and play this whole track for you. I'll indulge myself. Bear with me here, okay. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. Listen to that nice ring. Yeah, this piano is a real virtual instrument. I'll get to the keyboard here in a second, but this virtual instrument is a real joy to play. You know, it's very easy to express myself with it, and I guess that's brings up an important point. Always it is with these kinds of virtual instruments. Hello there, Dan. Hi there, Dan and Sarah. Nice of you to join me tonight. Appreciate you both for being here. But this piano is easy to be authentic with. So the subject of the realism always is in the background with musicians of a virtual instrument, and for adequate reasons. I mean, it's kind of important to be able to have authenticity of sound, realistic sound. And wherever these discussions take place, you'll always see, among musicians, and even among music lovers too, you'll see the escalation of what is working its way towards a conflict stemming from a debate over the realism of virtual instruments versus the authenticity of an actual physical grand piano in this particular case. And it can get very lively. And here's what I've learned. This is what I can tell you from my experience. I'm doing this for many years. There was a time when I, in the name of virtual instruments, pursued authentic realism with something that can only be labeled as a vengeance. I mean, it was my every waking moment. I was trying to find the most realistic violins, the most realistic cellos, and even inventing techniques of using virtual instruments in ways that people kind of were shaking their heads like, how is he doing that? Because I'm trying to, sometimes it was a success, sometimes it was a failure. But now I've reached a point with my career where, and I think that this keyboard and this piano is kind of like, was a doorway to this, where to me, not the definition, but the application of the word authentic has been adjusted. Whereas its emphasis was placed upon the realism of a virtual instrument, now authenticity is something which is placed upon the shoulders of my ability to be able to express myself with it being authenticity. When I'm able to close my eyes and kick my head back, and I'm not just talking about this instrument, I'm talking about virtual instruments in general. When I'm able to kick my head back and I'm able to stop thinking about what instrument I'm playing, about what, virtual instrument sample I'm using, and I'm in a world where what I'm trying to express is no longer being impeded by a virtual instrument that's not up to snuff, or a keyboard that is playing like a brick, or even if it's a good keyboard, but it's just not all the way there. That's my concern, because then what happens is when I'm unable to be authentic with the instrument and the sound, then I'm not really being authentic, and then that starts to intercept my creative process right in the middle of it. Even if it's not me performing live, it's in a studio where this can become a problem. And here with this instrument and this sample, and I'm able to do that the way I want to do it. I'm not being impeded by things. Let's get back into this again and have another closer look at some of the more subtle details of this neat virtual instrument, the Ravenscroft 275. And I guess, let me see here. Trying to see. Okay, forgive me. I'm just trying to locate something here. Yes. So this is the actual site, one of the sites here that you can find more about this stuff. I'm going to leave that up for a moment. Getting back to the quirks, the fun things about this instrument. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm now going to turn this output level up as high as I can so that you can hear, and we're going to have a discussion about a sustain pedal. Listen closely. That is the sound, of course, of the shushing. Is the word a lot of people like to use, and go, you know what? Let me just go ahead and gain boost the crap right out of this, so we can really get inside the sound and see what's going on here. Now listen. Let's do it this way. I'm going to do a full press of the sustain pedal at strength. Now, of course, keep in mind, this is turned up way loud. Listen closely. Okay. What you, of course, are hearing again is the shushing sound of the dampers leaving the strings. It's a shushy kind of a sound, and you'll hear a ring that follows that. But then you have the thump. The thump is the mechanized moving parts inside of there, from the rod, the pedal hitting the rod, traveling up through the pedal column into the actual piano itself that's been captured. Listen. Boom. And then here's the cool part. When I press softly, we have a softer sample for that. This is a medium. And then absolute soft press, like if you were playing an absolute pianissimo passage. Listen. That's medium, medium loud, loud. And you also have the release. You ever have if you're a pianist, maybe you can look back during your education, and you might remember the piano teacher saying, "Stop releasing the sustain pedal so fast." Sustain pedal is one of the challenging aspects of the piano that is often sometimes worth spending some extra time studying the technique of. But listen what happens when I depress this pedal, when I release it hard. Ready? Listen. That's the sound of the dampers, in this case, kind of inarticulately collapsing down on the strings. Okay, that's not something you would do unless you really had to hurry. But listen when I let the pedal down slowly. It's gone. I mean, this is an attention to detail, and you know, there's a lot of piano manufacturers out there that piano virtual instrument manufacturers that pay attention to these details. Ravenscroft's 275 is not the only one. Sorry, guys, hate to burst your bubble. But I think that the level of detail here, having the different volumes, is not something you see very often, you know. And if you do, it's not so crystal clear. They really took the time to add dimension and realism here to this. And here's another nice one, and I absolutely love this one. Take a closer look to the una corda pedal here. I'm going to activate the una corda samples. Okay, una corda. For you non-musician folks out there, the una corda function is what happens when a pedal on the left-hand side of the piano, that you see three pedals down there, and there's one on the left. When you depress the one on the left, those hammers are going to slide. And now, instead of striking three strings, the hammer's striking one, or in some cases two, depends on who's adjusted it properly or improperly. So go ahead and take a listen to this now. This is the piano being played without una corda. I do not have my foot on the una corda pedal. And let's back it up now, and I'm going to depress the una corda pedal, which is, of course, what this particular piece of legendary music calls for by the composer himself, Ludwig van Beethoven, Moonlight Sonata. I like it. What a fun thing to play. So, getting back to the main screen here, I'll wrap up with my talking about this instrument by pointing out that, of course, it does indeed have a lot of controls. If you don't like that pedal noise, guess what? You can turn it off. And we actually have key noise here too. I don't know if I can get that to trigger or not. I've never tried to do this. So let's see. Now, wait a minute. I don't want to jack that like that. That might cause some damage. Gonna try to see. Okay, we're gonna turn it on now. Start to hear it there. So key noise is recorded as these things are sampled, and it's not always going to be the same for every sample. Key noise is going to vary inside of the action of the piano. You might have a loose strap inside of there, something. Of course, not inside of one of Michael Spreeman's pianos. Right now, he's sending out a squad to deal with me. Michael Spreeman, creator of the Ravenscroft 275. Interesting guy, and very, very friendly fella, too. You guys should take a look at his operation down there if you get a chance. I'm being really nice to you, Michael. And by the way, I want you all to understand is I am not endorsing this here because, hey, he's a great guy. Yes, it's a great piano and everything else. Oh, here, let me do you a favor. This isn't that kind of game. We don't play that kind of game on a professional level, number one, because that'll give you a bad reputation. This is simply, which brings us, I'm going to get now to the actual instrument I'm playing itself. I was in the market for a MIDI controller instrument. And at the time, I was looking at several different kinds. I had played the RD700 and several other different kinds of things. And I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I heard about this Ravenscroft VI, the virtual instrument. And long story short, I come to find out that the fella that's behind all this is also from Scottsdale. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm looking for a virtual, not a virtual instrument, but an actual performance instrument. And he said, come on in. And I went in and had a look at this thing. And honestly, it's a healthy investment. And I wasn't sure I was ready to, quote unquote, take the plunge. We monitor our expenses and judge our investments in the music world based upon usually the projects we were doing. And I just thought I might take my time. And he said, hey, take it. Take the instrument and enjoy the instrument for a while. And I thought to myself, wow, I guess that's quite a compliment. And I'm still grateful to Michael for that. But I got to spend several months with it until he sent out the squad to retrieve it. And I wound up buying it off of him because it was just the answer to quite a quest for me to be able to find a musical instrument that was capable of doing what this instrument does. And it's a shame right now. This picture is actually the one I'm playing. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of close-up video except for the ones I've been showing you, product shots of it. This is my product shot of my actual Ravenworks. And if you go to the Ravenworks Digital website there, you'll see that the ones that they have to offer are of a little bit different paint scheme. This one is a custom model special for Jace Beck. This was custom design. So I'm got one of a kind. And I'll try to zoom out here and to see if I can get... wait a minute here. This whole situation's getting a little snarky on me. Oh, we've made it this far. Okay. So this is a weighted action hammer keyboard called the Ravenworks. And I guess I would start by saying that not all digital keyboards are created equal. And there is a world of different kinds of actions out there. The action, the inside, what triggers the actual process. And again, those are not created equal either. And they use different kinds of design. The one behind this one is an interesting story, although this is called the Ravenworks keyboard. It is a keyboard that goes through a second life. It, starts out living a good life and it gets reincarnated into this magnificent instrument I'm playing now. What does that even mean? It starts out as a Kawai VPC1. If you're a musician, you've probably heard of that one, especially if you're a keyboard player or a pianist. The Kawai VPC1 is quite an instrument to start with. Of course, it's Kawai. And Kawai pianos, I'm not got much of an opinion on them. I would steer into rather discussing the keyboard itself, the Kawai VPC1 keyboard. I've got to say good things about this keyboard just to start with. As far as weighted hammer actions are concerned, and we're speaking of strictly just the Kawai VPC1. I'm talking about this is prior to the transformation it takes on its way to becoming this thing. It's got a deep key dip. It's got quite an amount of weight to it. It's not. If you're somebody who likes a fast, crispy keyboard, something that is barely weighted, like over my shoulder here, you can't see it. I have an Akai MPK88 controller over on my left side here for controlling some virtual instruments over that way. And it's like night and day. A lot of other weighted hammer action keyboards are snappy. This one has depth and reach and feel to it. Then Michael Spreeman gets a hold of it. He takes it apart. And he uses some alloys inside of there to weight the actual action of it and create an experience, from the way he explained it to me, that is kind of married to his philosophy behind what actions should be for a piano. Now, again, he would be the first one, I'm not speaking for him, but he would be the first one to say that no, a keyboard will never be a piano, but then a piano will never be a keyboard either. That's me. He's the first part, I'm the second part. I guess what I'm saying is this, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, this is the end of the line. This is as far as it goes to, if you're looking to really talk about what is the most authentic, representation of a weighted hammer action keyboard, this is as realistic as it gets. It really, really is. So much so that it is the first keyboard instrument I was ever willing to play live. And that is saying something. That is really, really saying something right there. I don't have anything against keyboards. I'm not, putting them down or anything like that. But I really, really like playing a piano. I'm sure you can understand where I'm coming from there, right? So I enjoy playing this instrument live. I use it in my shows very well. And it's encouraged me to move further down that vein. I'm using synthesizers and all kinds of things in my shows now. It's like a keyboard exploration. There are no rules. And this keyboard helped me break free of what I think is a very limiting mode. You know, hey, look, I'm in a concert setting. Do I want to play a grand piano? And nothing but a grand piano will do. There are certain occasions when that will always be the case. But if that's the case, I could always hightail it off to Scottsdale and talk Mike Spreeman into setting one of those 9-foot grand pianos out down there. Yeah, right. Anyway, the keyboard itself, what else can I tell you about it? You'll notice, and this is nothing to do with Michael and the Ravenworks Design Company. This is more to do with the Kawai VPC one, where it starts. There are no faders. There are no switches. There's no glowing buttons. There's no dials. There's no gauges. It is an instrument, plain and simple. So if you are using, and this is why I say this, because I use this as my active primary keyboard in the studio setting. If you are wanting to use this keyboard that way to trigger MIDI controlled devices where what we call CC controls are very important, the way you cross that bridge is you grab one of these. This is a Korg Nano Control Studio. And these things can be picked up for like, I don't know, 100 to 150 bucks, something like that. Don't quote me on that because I can't remember. And there's other ones too. There's CC controllers that have faders and knobs on them that run all the way up to $1,000, in some particular cases, small ones like that. That one works great because it's wireless, by the way. And I can set it anywhere I want to, depending on what I'm doing with the keyboard. Well, that was quite a long discussion there. I'm sorry I took so long, but I didn't want to leave anything out. I've had a lot of experience with these two personal things, the Ravenworks Digital, the Ravenscroft VI and the Ravenworks Digital Keyboard. And again, you can find out anything you want to know about these at ravenworksdigital.com. And if you like this video, please give me a like and share it with your musician friends. I'd like to know you. Please drop me a comment in the comments section. Say hi. That would surely be appreciated. And all my best to you. Have a wonderful musical evening.